Where's everybody? Where is everybody? Hmm? Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Well, here's my morning coffee. Hey, Wes Webb. A good morning to you. I guess it's noon where you're at. Afternoon now. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good day. Good sir. We got 2 people watching, and yet we have 0 thumbs ups. It's so sad. It's so sad. That's a sad story, young man. There's 1 thumb up. I'm just having breakfast. Here, Jolie. How you doing this morning? Or this afternoon, as the case may be. All right. Enough of that. It's 9:30 in the morning here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm just having my breakfast, which today consists of a bagel with cream cheese and a coffee and a glazed donut. That, my friends, is what's known as the breakfast of champions. Yep, that's what that is, all right. I went ahead and put cream and sugar in my coffee today. It was actually, I took a taste of it black. It was actually probably good enough to drink black, but I don't know. I don't know if I trusted it. All right. All right. Here we are, Tuesday morning. Beautiful downtown Las Vegas. Oh, I'm not downtown. I'm uptown. So what are you guys up to up there in Indiana? In your neck of the woods? What's going on in your neck of the woods? Anything exciting? Jolie just woke up. I think I have a weed hangover. You were partaking of the weed, were you? Quite heavily, I take it. So what's the remedy for a weed hangover? More weed, I guess, maybe. A little of the hair of the dog that bit you. That's what people say when they're, when they have an alcohol hangover. Let's see. Wes says, looks like we might get some rain. Hopefully, most is passing to the north. Is it hot and hot and sticky? Is it humid? Jolie says, I hadn't smoked in a couple of weeks. Then I smoked a lot last night and was up until about 6 a.m. Damn. West Webb says, I like the rain, but I have people coming to work in the yard. Yeah, I hate it when the rain, you know, interferes with your planned projects. I need a haircut, people. Look at this. The hair is just flying out all over the place. I've been saying for the last couple months I need a haircut. I just don't do it. I guess I'm too lazy. I guess I'm too lazy to get my hair cut. Okay, so what's going on in the Trucker John world? I've been Ubering. Yesterday, I got a notice from Uber. You know, one of those things that I've completed my 1,500th trip. So I got that going for me. 1,500 trips under my belt. And going strong. And it was pretty cool. I'm still liking it, you know. So okay. Breakfast with John, right? Julie says, well, that's awesome. 1,500. Yeah, I got 1,500 trips. And that really is just me doing it kind of, you know, like I'll do 4 hours here, 3 hours there. And then usually towards the weekend, that's when I kind of hunker down and I'll do my, you know, like take 8 hours. To me, 8 hours is the longest I go. I think there are drivers that go like 12 hours, you know. And so they must have lots of trips under their belt. But, you know, I usually do, you know, 6, 7, 8 at the most. Is about, I don't think I've ever gone over 8 hours. Hey, Andrea. Thanks for stopping by. While I eat, I just went and grabbed a bagel downstairs since I was running late. I had planned on getting up early. I was going to get up early, take a shower. I was going to walk over to Denny's and have breakfast at Denny's and have all this out of the way by the time 9 o'clock came around. But it didn't work out that way. So now you guys get to see me stuff bagels down my face and drink coffee. Good morning. Join me with, hey, KO. I think everybody in here is like East Coast. So you've probably already had your morning coffee. So I guess you can join me for your afternoon coffee. Your nooner. Your nooner coffee. KO in the house. What's going on in Florida? What's going to happen with Ron DeSantis when he gets his butt kicked in the primary and has to drop out after the third primary? Is he going to be able to still be governor? You know, he only beat Gillum, and they probably cheated. You know, I think he only beat him by 20,000 votes or something. So it'd be nice if Florida would work on getting blue or purple or something. KO says, which hotel is this? We're back at the Oyo. The Oyo. Let's see. home of Hooters. They have a Hooters restaurant. This used to be the Hooters Hotel. And then Hooters sold it. Oyo bought it. But they kept the restaurant. They have a Steak and Shake and a Hooters. And then there's another restaurant in there that I've never eaten at. It's like the poolside restaurant or something. And then they have where I got this coffee and bagel. They have a little, I wouldn't really call it a deli, but it just has coffee. It just has coffee and donuts and bagels, and then like, apparently they have pizzas. Oh, and they have those Jimmy Dean sausage sandwiches that they heat up in the microwave, which are really gross. So I opted not to get that because I got one time before and it was really kind of gross. So I just got the bagel and a donut for good measure. Andrea says, you're welcome, just in for if you're getting ready for work. Kale says, I sure hope he does. And Kale says, I hope he comes in much lower than second place in the primary for president. Well, I think there's only a few places where his shtick might work. And that's just like Florida and maybe Texas or something. And even then, you guys heard about Ken Paxton. I've got shit all over me, sorry. Blocking 2.5 million votes in the bluest of the bluest districts there in Texas, which probably would have given Beto O'Rourke the election. That needs to be looked into. Now, I know he's being, I guess there's nothing you can do about it now, but that Paxton motherfucker needs to go to jail for sure. And a big stink really does need to be made out of it. Trump and Giuliani and all those assholes, they've been crying about the supposed, stealing of the presidential election with absolutely no proof whatsoever. They've gone into court 61 times, gotten laughed out of there 61 times. They keep saying that it's a fake election, but they provide no proof, no evidence, nothing, zero, and it gets all kinds of fucking media attention. This Ken Paxton thing is barely even mentioned. This should be top of the news. This should be above the fold. This should be the number one story. The motherfucker basically, kept the Republican nominee the Democratic nominee from becoming governor of the state by blocking 2.5 million votes that were all legal votes. He just said because they were paper votes. He didn't like paper ballots or some bullshit. Okay, so that really should be something that's just paid more attention to, and is made very prominent in the news, and it's not. Instead, we talk about Joe Biden tripping over a sandbag. Hey, Benny Loco. Every accusation is a confession. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Thanks for being here, guys. Yeah, Ken Paxton, he needs to be locked up. And also, I think we need to make a big deal out of what he did by blocking, and he admitted it on the Steve Bannon show. I think at least MSNBC and at least MSNBC. I was going to say CNN, but CNN, they're fucktards. But I don't know. I think that should be the number one story. That's a huge story. Motherfucker just blocked 2.5 million votes. You know, in a blue district, as blue as my shirt. West says Andrea was just up in the kitchen toasting a bagel. John made me hungry. Look, here's my bagel. And I asked for cream cheese, and she gave me this like strawberry flavored cream cheese, which I didn't even notice until I got to the room. This is all right. I mean, it's good. But I was expecting just regular cream cheese. Hello? What the hell? What the hell's going on out there? Now, I'm sitting in a room right now, right here, right now, that would be... have you guys heard about the Oakland A's coming to Las Vegas, moving out of Oakland and come down here to Las Vegas? Now, where I'm sitting right now, right here, right now, is adjacent to where they're going to build the ballpark. So, hey, I'm going to show you. Let me show you guys. Let me unplug this. Let me show you. This is kind of awesome, actually, I think. Let's see. Let's turn this around. From this window, that there, those big white buildings, is the Tropicana Hotel. And they actually were planning on tearing it down even before the A's decided to come here. But this is the location where the A's want to build their new stadium. Hey, they call me Rosemary. Thanks for checking in. And so if the stadium were there from this room, I would be looking right at the new stadium. But that's where the new stadium is going to go, right there. And you can see, and the outfield is going to be pointed out that way. So the outfield view would be like New York, New York, and probably a little bit of, there's MGM and New York, New York. And then through those two white towers there, you can see Excalibur, which is across the street. But this is where the stadium is going to be. And I'm sitting right now in this Oyo Hotel, which is kind of a dump, to be honest. I mean, and that sounds a little harsh. Look, over there is Luxor, Mandalay Bay, Delano. That's all across the street. But this is where the new stadium's going to be, right there. See where it says Sky Beach Club? It's going to be right there. But this hotel, the reason I stay here so much is because it's cheap. It's really, really cheap. The rooms are cheap. One of the cheapest rooms in all of Las Vegas, probably. And it's not horrible. It's not a horrible place. I mean, there's dumps and then there's dumps, right? If this was the second kind of dump or whatever, I would not stay here. But even for free, you know. I mean, but as hotel casinos go, and this is just off the strip, it's, you know, kind of a dump. But anyhow, but they're sitting pretty because they're going to build that stadium right next door. And when they do that, I'm sure they're going to bump their rates way up, especially, you know, whenever there's a game in town, right? So Benny goes, just what America needs, more sports stadiums and distractions. West Webb says stadiums take up lots of space. Yeah, so do graveyards. West Webb says diversions are important, Benny Loco, but you don't really care for them. Music and marijuana. KO says, hi, they come in rows. I'm just stating the facts of what's going on. The stadium is going to be built right next door, and this is sitting right here, this property. I'm sure the property values, if not already, but probably once they start building the new stadium, this property value that I'm sitting right now is going to go up. Who knows how many fold? And who knows? Someone might even buy this thing and tear it down, and you know they and build a brand new beautiful place right here. You know. I mean, that's the first thing I thought when I heard they were going to build a stadium right there. I thought, oh wow, Oyo must be really happy because their property value just shot up like 1 million times. So they're sitting in the catbird seat. They could sell this thing for way more than what they paid for it, or they could just, you know, up their rates 10 times for higher than you normally charge. Benny Lucas says, I won't stay in any hotel until I've gone over it thoroughly with a black light. Not me. I just dive right in, baby. Wes Webb says, I was going through Nashville and needed a hotel room. Turned out that Snoop was in town and the room was cost 3 times the regular rate. Yep. That happens. But look, they never do anything for the homeless, but boy, those $100 plus seats at a new stadium. Yeah, and the $100 seats are like the cheap seats. Probably, you know. But you're absolutely right. But look, the homeless problem here is really huge. It is really. There's so many homeless people, and I don't know what's being done. And there's, you know, literally multi-billions of dollars of, you know, out here on the strip, multi-billion-dollar companies and corporations, and you know they won't bat an eyelash at spending tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars just to tear something down and then rebuild something, you know. But when it comes to trying to help homeless people, it's like, you know, I don't know, pulling teeth, I guess. Benny Lucas says, we just keep making them richer by playing their game. Wes Webb says, working on the homeless problem needs small scattered site housing near transportation, but nobody wants them in their neighborhood. Kale says to Trucker John, you need to find the room in that hotel that is closest to being able to see inside the retractable roof of the baseball stadium. That way you have a good seat for the game. Yeah, see, the problem with that is that the renderings are just early renderings, so who knows how the final stadium is going to be. But it's going to point out towards New York, and MGM. So that's where you would have seats. That's where you would have window opportunities from New York, and MGM, where they could see into the stadium. Because from here, it looks like the stadium is going to be out this way, and the seats are going to be, you know, up, and then there's going to be a covering. Because the way the retractable part, it's like the retractable part was just sort of in the outfield, at least at early renderings. Now how the final is, who knows? So from here, you might only just see sort of like the back of the stadium or the side of the stadium. I'm not sure if you could actually see into the field from here, but I think for sure if you were across the street at New York, you could see in. You could have one of those window facing or stadium facing rooms, and you'd be able to look right into the stadium. I think that, at least from what I've seen from the early renderings, whatever they call it. Westwood says, in the summer, people can sleep on the street. And they do. They sleep all over the place out here. And let me tell you something. I was talking to this guy the other day who kind of said the same thing. Like at least this is a warm place. Because I was talking about how we need to have more shelters for people. And he kind of thought I was just talking about like the wintertime, because it does get pretty cold here in the winter. But I was saying, no, all year round. We need shelters, and we need to be. There should be a thing where we can just provide just basics, food, just some basic food, nothing fancy. You know, water. You know, and shelter from these elements. And like I said, he thought I was just talking about wintertime, because I think he said something like, you know, at least it's warm here, and you know they won't freeze. But let me tell you something. I've seen people, and they look dead to me. I don't know if they were dead or not, but they're just laying out on a cement sidewalk in 120-degree heat. So don't tell me that it's okay to be here in the summertime, homeless, out in the sun with no water and no shelter, no shade. And I think I read somewhere that, you know, there are homeless people that every year that just die from you know, sun poisoning or whatever you call it, and not being hydrated and all that kind of stuff. So it would be nice if our government, and along with these billionaires out here, they could build really nice. They could build all kinds of really nice shelters, and like I say, all it has to be is something to get them out of the elements, so they're not either freezing to death in the winter or baking to death in the summer, and just get at least some water and some soup or something and a sandwich. You know, that would be a fraction. To do that would be a tiny little fraction of a percent of what of the money that rolls through this town. You know, but I don't see it happening. So I guess Trucker John's gonna have to get involved. I'm gonna have to go down to City Hall, say, what the fuck, man? What the fuck you doing with this homeless situation? Why can't you fucking, you know, provide a little shelter, provide a little water, you know, provide a little sandwich? Benny Logo says humanity has lost its way. West says some people want the homeless to depend on the church, drive them to Jesus. It's not enough, no. Benny Logo says entertainment is so much more important than caring for fellow humans. And West Webb says in Rockford you can't be out in the winter at night sometimes. Benny Logo says every day I bring food and water to the homeless here. Most of them are children. Yeah, there's a lot of children. It's not just the stereotypical, you know, drug addict or whatever. Sometimes it's families. Sometimes it's mothers with children who are getting out of an abusive relationship and they have nowhere to go. They end up on the streets. Sometimes it's people who lost everything due to medical bankruptcies or some type of a bankruptcy. A lot of it is drug addiction. A lot of it is mental health. Here's my thing though. You don't have to be crazy to be homeless, but being homeless will make you crazy. It really will. And it is, you're right, Benny, it is a thing that we turn away from. And I'm saying just we collectively, not individually. Like Benny is trying to help people. There are people that try to help. There are organizations that try to help. But collectively, I think we turn away. We don't want to see it. You know, we'd like to brush that problem under the rug somehow. I don't know what the solutions are. I mean, overall, it's a big thing, socially and systematically. It's a whole big, and economically. But down on the local level, or there are immediate things that could be done, and the immediate thing to me is shelter and food and water. You know, that's the immediate things, and then you can go out from there to try to solve people's problems. You know, try to, whether it's, you know, there should be a triage type of thing where people can say, hey, we've got mental health facility here to help people, or we've got people here, we've got maybe job placement here, or job skill training. We've got places, you know, then you can do things where you can try to get people into housing and try to help them with finding a job and all that kind of stuff. But the very first thing is really just, you know, keeping them out of those elements, those harsh elements, and trying to get a little food in their belly and some hydration. You know, those, because otherwise nothing else really matters. If you're starving to death, you can't think, right? You know how it is when you get hangry. Just think how it is if you're on the street and you're just, you know, every little dime you find, it's either for food, or if you're a drug addict or an alcoholic, it's going to go to alcohol or booze, and because they have that addiction, right? So anyhow, it's a big problem, but I'm just saying that we as a society and our government and the people that are in this city, the rich people in this city, are all turning away, all looking away, trying to ignore it. And that needs to stop. Let's see, West Webb says, but it helps to be a little bit crazy on the street. Folks will keep their distance. Benny Logo says, we have to remember being human. Benny Logo says, in America, nobody should be hungry, especially children. Yep, that's true. West Webb says, I'm trying to loosen up and do my part, but what really is my part? Your part is that whatever you can do. If it's just donating to your church that has a homeless type of, that's one thing. If it's going down, just handing people water on the street, or if it's just handing out coats in the winter, I mean, there's no too little of a thing, I don't think, that you can do. And then we should try to probably get involved with our elected representatives, and make this a priority issue. Benny Loco says, being the change you want to see is what's needed. Yep, lead by example. Also says, saying in church Sunday, again this coming Sunday. Wow, a repeat performance by Wes Webb. Wes says, helping kid deal with his alcohol, trying at least. And Wes says, 2 other kids help me out in the yard. I love them all. I think most of us, we want to help. We want to do something, but we don't know what to do. So we turn away, Because it does look overwhelming. Especially when you see so many, and even when I was driving a truck, driving across country, and I would be going through cities, I would see homeless people everywhere. Portland, Seattle, East Coast, Midwest, even the Midwest, whatever. There's homeless people everywhere. So it can seem like this really overwhelming thing. Like, what do we do? How do we, and you don't know what to do, so you kind of throw your hands up in the air, and then you just look away because it's like, I can't do anything. But I guess if we just find, we all have kind of our own little circle, our own little space, our own little sphere of influence. So now I'm on to my donut, by the way. Breakfast of Champions. Wes says, but I don't want another church job. Wes says, even when they are housed and fed, they still have troubles in the head. Yes, but what I said is, you got to start off with the basics. I mean, I think before you can start treating their drug or alcohol addiction, or if they have mental health issues, if they're starving to death, I think you're going to have a real hard time trying to treat that. So the first thing is, I think, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just an ex-truck driver. But, I think people function a little better when they're not starving to death. Benny Lucas says, I'm the kind of human that runs into the fire, not away from the fire. I believe that. And Wes says, my friends all have places to live, even if not ideal. Benny Lucas says, brains need food to think straight. Right. So this is something I've been wanting to do, and I should do this. I've been wanting to find out more about what's going on in Las Vegas. Since I live here and I'm home now, I'm not on the road all the time. I've been wanting to look into what is the city of Las Vegas doing about the homeless problem? What can I do to help? What kind of activism is there that's going on? Those are the things I'm going to look into. Because as an Uber driver, I see it so much every day where I drive. And it's just so sad, it's so sad. And I do feel, in a way, kind of helpless, but I know that everybody can do something, even if it's just the smallest little thing. We can all do something. Like I said, even if it's just handing out water or whatever. Wes says, agree, and I have a bill to pay. Be right back. Okay. Go pay your bill. Don't want nothing getting shut off. Ben Logan says it's shameful. Yeah, we're the richest nation in the history of the world. We have more food and resources than anybody, Now, a lot of people will say, and this is because either they are just cold, heartless bastards, or that they just kind of shut it off because they don't know what to do. But they'll say that these people bring it on themselves. No one's forcing them to be homeless. I've heard people say stuff like this. It's their problem. They bring, like, they're drug addicts, or they're too lazy to work or whatever. And I'm sure there is some of that. There's probably truth to some of that, to some small percentage or a certain percentage of that. But it's more than just that. And we should still, I think, regardless, find it in our hearts to help provide something. And I'm not saying put them up in some cushy 5-star hotel or whatever. All I'm saying is have a cooling center, have a shelter, have a soup kitchen, soup and sandwich, and water and coffee. That's it. Nothing that's going to lure these, what Hal Sparks talks about, these drug tourists that apparently, have the ways and means to go around to different places and buy drugs and do drugs, and then they just want to crash out at homeless shelters or something or whatever. I guess that's a thing. I don't know. But if all you're doing is providing some shelter from the elements and some food and water, it's not like you're buying them a steak dinner or whatever, and lobster, Benny Loco says, when I was growing up, neighbors helped one another. Now they shoot them. Yeah, it's crazy, Benny. Wes says, back, let, I guess that's back. Let them stay at the Hooters. Well, I know you're joking. But I'm sure there probably are, well, now that the pandemic is pretty much over and Las Vegas is going strong, I don't know how many empty places there are, but there's probably some empty hotels that haven't reopened, like off the strip. Like, I know there's one on Boulder Highway, I think Cannery East, I think it's Cannery East or something. I think that closed down. And I have heard people talk about doing that kind of stuff, like repurposing closed hotels or closed up apartments or whatever, and trying to convert that into some sort of either homeless shelter or low cost or low whatever, you know. But and that's fine and dandy. Uh, but we do need something that's, like I say, to at least provide the basics: food, water, shelter. You know. And then you can expound on that from there. You know. Westwood says rich relations give crusts of bread and such, saying help yourself, but don't take too much. And Wes continues, we have old hotels converted into old people's apartments. Benny Loco says a hand up is not a handout. Yeah, well, we need to do something about it. And there are things that I guess we could all do, things that I know I don't do. But I would like to get more involved. And because it is something that I see daily, and it does bother me. And it is something that weighs down on me. So I would like to somehow help in some way, you know, some way, somehow, because I don't know, we got to do something. Wes says, give them jobs for which they are capable and a living wage. $15, maybe not a living wage. Yeah, after you've given them some shelter and some food and water, then you can start job placement. You can start assessing. A lot of these people aren't capable of working. I'm telling you. They need to get either cleaned up off their drugs or their alcohol, or they have serious mental issues that might require long-term, a long-term facility and some sort of healthcare facility. I'm telling you, that's the bulk of it. But that's why we need sort of like a screening process, so we can screen who are the ones here that are just here because of a medical bankruptcy, or who are the ones that are just here because they're fleeing, you know, an abusive relationship. Who are the ones here that are just drug tourists, and we'll just say fuck you to those guys. Who are the ones that seriously need, you know, drug rehab? Who are the ones here that have serious mental health issues that really need to be dealt with? So we need to better that system to make those determinations, I believe. And then we can talk about job placement or skills training or whatever, you know. Benny Loco says that Reagan, it's funny, on here I see it, but there I don't see it. Oh, I must not, oh, on here I must not have. I must not have set on all messages for some reason. For some of the oddest reasons, I don't know. Uh, so let's see here. Wes says the kid I'm helping with the drinking problem has a steady job. Is he homeless? I thought you said he had a house or a home. Benny Lucas says Reagan closed all the mental facilities back in the 80s. That's when the problem exploded. Yep, that's true. Good old Ronnie Reagan, once again, right? Wes Webb says, I have invited them to join us, but they still haven't taken me up on it. Wes says, no, he lives in a decent house. Okay, so he's not homeless. We're talking about homeless people. We're talking about homeless people right now. Yeah, good old Ronnie Reagan. A lot of our troubles could be directly traced back to the old Ronnie Reagan. You know, another crook, another Republican that cheated his way into the White House by promising the Iranians that, you know, if they didn't release the hostages until after the election, because they knew that would make Jimmy Carter look bad, you know, they promised them, you know, money and weapons and things of this nature. So Ronnie Reagan was a crook, and people think he was so charming. I thought he was a moron. I thought he was a clown. He was nothing but a clown. To me, he was the Wagon Train narrator guy, or whatever you call it. I used to watch Wagon Train when I was a kid, and I remember he thought he was like, I think he like the Rod Serling of the Western, because he would come in and introduce the episode of Wagon Train or whatever the fuck it was. So to me, this guy was a fucking clown. But people in 1980 thought he was this great guy that you could go have a beer with or whatever, or some fuck. And I voted for Jimmy Carter. That was my first presidential election. I voted for Jimmy Carter. I can tell you that I am proud to say I voted for Jimmy Carter. And I can't tell you how many people who were Democrats told me they voted for Reagan. And I still shake, my head is still shaking right now, as you can see. I'm still shaking my head on that one. How you could fall for that shit. I could see like the equivalent of the MAGA morons that were around that day. They fall for anything. But there were so many of these so-called, like, what was it, lunch bucket Republicans or lunch bucket Democrats or whatever, Reagan Democrats, that voted for Reagan. I don't understand it. I do not understand it. Jimmy Carter was a good man, even then, you know. Wasn't perfect, but who is, you know? So Wes says that some of the state mental hospitals in Illinois were awful. Wes says, I'm a functioning whatever. You know, if they're awful, let's make them better. If these state hospitals are awful, let's scrutinize those type of places if they still exist, because I think, you know, a lot of them were shut down. But instead of just saying they're awful, let's do something. Let's put the pressure on them to make them better. You know. And I'm not yelling U.S. I'm just saying it in a general sense, in a general societal sense. This says, Wes says, I'm a functioning whatever, making more money than I have ever made in my life, and I do no work. Well, hey, that sounds good to me. Wes says, being a clown is a job. Yeah, if you're in a circus, yeah. Benny Logo says, all Republicans are liars, cheats, and thieves as long as my memory serves me. Yep, mine too. Going back to Nixon. Nixon was a fucking, you know. I don't even want to say the word I was going to say. It'll just make me look bad. Wes Webb says, they know how to improve hospitals and schools, but in the end, it all comes down to money. That's priority. We need to make that a priority then, don't we, in our budgets? Benny Logan said, as soon as they realized that the money-making scheme had to actually, as soon as they realized that the money-making scheme actually should help people, they shut them down. What says, that's me, a lying rhino dino, deep state commie cheat. You said it, not me. And Wes, I think, and then Benny's crying and laughing, I think, or something. But and you got to realize a lot of times, I won't speak for Benny Logo, but like for me, when I talk about Republicans, I'm basically talking about the politicians. Although there are a lot of Republican voters that are idiots and morons, like MAGA and things like that. But a lot of people really fall victim, I guess, to the propaganda. It's a propaganda machine, especially through the Rush Limbaugh era and then the Fox News era. And you can see people change. Even my dad, who was a union officer for many, many years, he was union. He was like a Kennedy guy. He liked Kennedy. He liked Hubert Humphrey, because maybe that was more because he was from Minnesota and my dad was from Minnesota, but Humphrey was a Democrat. And then over the years, I saw him get more like as a Reagan type person. And then later on, before he died, before my dad died, he was a Fox News watching guy, who I think supported Mitt Romney, whatever. So that, it almost breaks my heart thinking about it right now. But when I'm talking shit about Republicans, for the most part, I'm talking about the politicians, and the party itself, and the party leadership, the party platform. So we're not talking about, like, if you were Republican, I'm not calling you a piece of shit, Wes. But your party is a piece of shit. I mean, your former party, if you're not, I don't know if you're not a Republican anymore, that party is a shit party. And those Republicans that are running are like Benny said, a bunch of liars and cheaters. That's all they do. That's how Nixon cheated, Reagan cheated, they all rely on either cheating or just really, really dirty campaign tactics, and they have the backing of so much of this media, this right-wing media. It's just, so people fall for it, man. West Webb says, laughing out, I voted mostly for Dems in the national offices, Republicans locally. I will just proudly say, I've never voted for a Republican in my life. Never, ever. And I say that proudly. I've never seen one that I like, as far as I'm talking about politicians. Benny Logo says, it's called programming and people refuse to unplug from it. Therein lies the rub. Benny goes on to say, locals are where the pigs are doing the most damage right now. West Webb says, rub-a-dub-dub, old folks in a tub. West says, local Dems are connected, maybe not the mayor. Well, then we got to weed them out, don't we? If they are connected, I think that, to me, it sounds like that means, I don't know, they're bought off or whatever. I don't know what you're saying by that, but we can't throw that baby out with the bathwater. We just got to weed out the bad ones. Benny Logo says, and on with the cheating, decade after decade. There, I think that was the last one. I don't Wes says Dems choose their local candidates behind closed door and only offer up one per office. Yeah. Well, local politics are a lot different than national politics. Dark money. Expose them, Wes. Expose them. Benny Logo says, motivate the goddamn vote. I know, really. Right? Don't boo, vote, boo. Wes says, buy a building cheap, sell it for double without any improvements. That's like flip this house. Except in those shows, they did make improvements. Benny says, vote mobile power. Oh, power. Vote mobile power. Mobile power? Mobile. Vote mobile power. Power to the mobile. Power to the people. Yeah. Well, you know, like Al says, if you're presented with a situation where you think both choices are evil, choose less evil. And then we'll work on it from there. But he says, my vote mobile, John. Oh, vote mobile, your car. Duh. Duh. Yeah, right. Awesome. Yeah. I'm a little slow. You know, I'm a little slow. Yeah, the vote mobile. Duh. Wes says power to watch, power to fight, and power to pray. Benny Logo says they see me coming. Wes says at least you have a choice. Benny was laughing, I guess, because I finally figured it out. Old Trucker John here, you know, might be a little slow every now and then, but I'll get it eventually. Wes says, did you get the starter fixed? And then Julia says, I love the Votemobile, Benny. I know. The Votemobile's cool. I like the Votemobile. I'm all for the Votemobile. We need more Votemobiles across the country. That's what we need. More Votemobiles. That would be cool. We have a whole nation of Votemobiles. And just say, don't boo, vote, boo. Get it? Because that's like what Obama said. Because they were booing because he was talking about, I don't know, Trump or something, and he's like, don't boo, vote. And then I add boo, like your best friend or babe or whatever boo means. So it'd be like, don't boo, vote, boo. My little addendum. Bruno says it's a rolling billboard. Exactly. I think it's a great thing, great idea. Bo, don't boo, vote, Bo. No, because then they'll think you're talking to. Oh, Bo Hunter's dead. Bo Biden's dead. Hunter's the one that's alive. You know, I can't keep up with these Bidens, the goddamn Bidens. But boo is like your bestie, right? Your boo. Or it could mean, you know, me being. My being. Is that good? Me being my good? My good? Benito says it may get me shot, but I don't give a fuck. Well, I hope not. I hope it doesn't get you shot. I don't think it will, but you never know. Some fucking crazies out there. Maybe get some bulletproof glass. That shit ain't cheap though. What says my dear? Oh, my dear. Yeah, okay. Like boo. Boo is your deer. And not the kind of deer you shoot. Well, some people do shoot their other kind of deers. Forget it. I'm going down a weird kind of wormhole there. I hope you don't. I hope they don't. I hope you don't get shot. Fortunately, you're in California. I know, and I know how we live. I've lived in these areas my whole life. There's a lot of rednecks out there, too. I grew up with them. All I grew up in a town that was probably, I would say 90% white, but then I see sort of census information. It was actually more like, I think, 70% white, but it felt like 90% or 99%. And I can tell you that the kids I grew up with were freely throwing around the N word and freely, because Victorville was our sort of rival town, and that was a much more diverse city, had lots more people of color, black people and Hispanics. And where I grew up, well, we did move back and forth. I lived in Victorville and I lived in Apple Valley, and I had friends from both sides. That's maybe why I'm not quite as racist as the people that I grew up with in Apple Valley. But those kids were throwing the N-word around with impunity. And if you talk to them now, 40 years later, 50 years later, they act like they were just the sweet little innocent angels that didn't have a racist bone in their body. And they're all full of shit. I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them. So Wes says, despierta mi bien, mira que ya, whatever. I'm sorry, my Spanish is not good. Benny Lucas says, not yet, Wes. A new alternator and battery are required. Wes says, we were 100% not black. Some Asians and Hispanics. And Wes says he's going to keep praying. Pray without ceasing. I believe that was a commandment. Not one of the 10 commandments, but I believe an instruction from Jesus, I believe. So what was my point? I'm not even sure what point I was making on that. About where I grew up. I was just saying, because I grew up in the desert, in the high desert, and the low desert isn't much different. I don't see there's any different. I mean, there's, you got liberals and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of people out there that are like, could be straight out of, Arkansas or Alabama in the KKK. In fact, it was always mentioned that we had a KKK, I don't even, what do they call it? Faction or group or whatever in Apple Valley. They had meetings, and they, the hoods and the whole thing, and the robes and all that shit. So it's California. I know people think California is just this bastion of liberal politics and liberal ideas, but you get away from the coast, and you start getting, the more inland you go, the more redder it gets, basically, in a nutshell. I'm gonna drink some Oyawata. It's earth friendly, purified drinking water, so I think it's safe. What says, pray and praise thee without ceasing, glory to thy love. Perfect love? Benny says, KKK is a cult we have allowed to grow instead of stopping it the fuck out. What says raining, so the rain came. There goes your yard work, right? Or whatever you were doing. Moose Maneuver says, how far in do I gotta go before they lynch me for playing that Satan rock music? Hey, Moose Maneuver. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for being here. I don't know, Moose. How far do you got to go? Probably if you just put a rainbow on it. That's probably play Rainbow. Yeah, like wasn't that Ronnie James Dio in that band for a while, right? Rainbow, was it Rainbow, right? Just start playing that music, and that might get it. That might get you lynched in today's society. Moose says, "Hey, John Jolie," and then Benny Loco is rocking out. And Moose says, "It's a win-lose thing with politics. You could either get these freedoms or these freedoms or those freedoms, but not all the freedoms." Moose, I'm taking the rainbow back, God damn it. And Benny Loco says, "I think I need to paint a rainbow on my vote." Hey, there you go. Yeah, put a nice little rainbow. Now that's at your own risk. I mean, so just know there are risks involved, and you know, Benny. I mean, better than I do, I'm sure. Rainbow says. Moose Maneuver says, "Brown is not the rainbow. Black isn't." Wait, brown is not in the rainbow. Black isn't. Well, we could add those colors. I don't. Is there any law against adding colors to the rainbow? I hope I don't get a knock on the door because I extended my stay here, and sometimes house cleaning staff doesn't get the memo, and then they'll knock on your door. But it's only 10:30. So. Let's see here. Benito says, getting overrun by Nazis is a risk. Yeah. Yeah. And it depends on where you're at, but I think there still are more of us than there are of them, and that's why we need to stick together. We need to have each other's backs. By we, I mean us like more liberal-minded, progressive-minded type people. I guess that's what I mean, right? Wes says the church has been using rainbows since long before the gays took it over. That didn't sound right, Wes. Moose says physics. Moose Maneuver says laughing out loud. Moose Maneuver says laughing my fucking ass off. Wes says the spectrum is set. Red, yellow, and blue. What about green? Isn't green in there? What about purple? Or are those in there? Moose says, who can we trust, though? They've even turned Bill the science guy. They turned him or turned on him? Because if they turned him, that means he's a Republican MAGA. That's how I would take that. If they've turned on him, that means they don't like him because of things he's said about climate change, I believe. Benny Loco says, us normal, not insane people. Right. Us normal, not insane people need to stick together and have each other's backs. I guess that's what we're going on that. And Moose Maneuver has an emoji, and Jolie, you'll have to translate that for me because it looks like is it a vampire or something? I don't know. Wes says visible electromagnetic energy that we can see. West Web light. Moose Maneuver, and I don't think the rainbow is that literal when we're talking about symbols. Okay. Moose says they turned him rainbow. They turned Bill Nye the Science Guy into a rainbow. Moose says he went super climate change vax. Oh, I see. So you think that because so you're on the other side, basically, it looks like. So you're saying because he believes in climate change and he believes in the science of vaccinations, that he turned. I think he probably always believed in that kind of stuff. Wes says ultraviolet and infrared. Wes says I'm insane. Insane in the min brain. Moose Maneuver says Moose is a free agent. Well, good for you, Moose. Bendigo says time to dab. Cheers. Alrighty, Benny Loco, thanks for being here. Stay safe. You can take your door panels off of all your panels and stuff those with phone books, and then put the panels back on, and that will offer some protection from bullets. The windows, like I say, bulletproof bulletproof grass would be nice. Bulletproof glass is very expensive, but at least maybe get some with the doors. Like say, stuff those full of phone books. Take the paneling off or whatever, and then put the paneling back in. And then if they shoot into the body of the vehicle, that would help greatly. So that's something to think about. God, that's morbid. Moose Moose says, cheers, Benny, right behind you. Oh, Moose is taking off too. Okay, well, all right. Be that way. Cheers, Benny. Cheers. Oil water to you. Moose says, that's a good idea. Benilko says, I'm just dabbing, not leaving the planet. Yeah. Yeah. What's this thick? Moose Maneuver says, cheap-ass bullet resistance. Yeah, I mean, it's some bullet resistance on a budget. Bulletproofing on a budget. And did you ever see that show? What was it called? What was it called, guys? Come on, it was a great show. Burn Notice. I got that from an episode of Burn Notice because that's what they did. They needed to bulletproof their car, so they took all the panels off of the doors, stuffed them full of phone books, thick phone books, not little tiny phone books, but thick ones. And then they put the paneling back on, and because they needed to bulletproof their car real quickly. They couldn't do anything about the glass, I don't think, but they did that part. That's where I got that from. So, you know, it might not be accurate, but I thought it was a brilliant idea. And then Moose has this other sort of emoji. Is that saluting? Or is that saluting? And they probably work better wet too. And but I don't watch the programming. I know not this movie of which you speak. Burn Notice. It's been off the air for quite a few years now. But I think it was like, was it TNT? It was one of those networks. I forget what network it was now. But it was on for several seasons. It had a guy, the main character, I forget his name, but he was really good. But then the sidekick guy was the guy from the Evil Dead movies. You know, what's that guy's name? He's kind of funny guy. I can't remember his name, but he was in it. FX, yes, the Man Network. You're cracking me up, Moose. Westwave says, I try not to drive around places where much shooting might happen. But you just never know. These days, you just never know, right? I mean, you might think you're in a safe area, and you're not. Benito says, remember when we only had 3 networks plus PBS? Those were the days. Oh, yes. When we only had 3 networks. But we also had, at least in California, we had 3 networks, PBS, and then we had like all the LA channels, the affiliates. So we had, of course, we had CBS, NBC, and ABC, but then we had like KTLA and KTTV and KCOP. Plus, we also had the local cable company had like a cable access channel. So let's see, we had about, I don't know, 7 or 8 channels, I think. Moose Maneuver says, Pepperidge Farm remembers. I remember Pepperidge Farm, like cakes, like chocolate cakes, I think, and various things of that nature. Benny Loco, ABC, NBC, CBS, pre-cable, John. Well, we had cable, but it wasn't like cable like they have now. But they had cable. They had cable companies. When you lived out in the boonies, like you do now, and like I did my whole life in the desert, we had a cable company that basically would just cable into your house instead of having to try to use an antenna, which was really iffy. And we had the San Bernardino and the San Gabriel Mountains that basically blocked the signal from LA to Victorville or Apple Valley. So we had a cable company, and this is back in the 60s and 70s, that would cable into your house ABC, CBS, NBC, and NPR, plus KTLA, KCOP, KTTV, and a cable access channel. I'm trying to think if there's any other channels, but that was all through a cable company. So it's not like the cable companies that we've had that came on board, or the advent in more like in the 80s, where they started putting all that programming into the cable package. But even in the 60s, they would bring in those network shows, those broadcast channels, those over-the-air broadcast channels. They were able to cable that into your house, so you didn't have to try to put a big giant antenna on your house, and then some days it would work, some days it wouldn't. Some days you would have, some people would have on their antennas, they would have to climb up on the roof and then actually try to maneuver the antenna around to try to get a better signal. So instead of doing that, you would pay a cable company, like I said, that was able to, through the use of cable, because they did have a big giant dishes, and they were able to get those over-the-air broadcast stations into people's homes through cable. So we had cable companies even in the 60s and 70s. But like I said, they didn't have all of that extra programming like CNN and A&E and all that kind of stuff. That came much later. Yeah, like I was telling you, you could use an antenna, but it was really iffy, and it depended on where you lived. You could live in one part of town where the antenna might work perfectly, and you could live a few blocks over, the antenna wouldn't do shit. And that's why people would get cable, to bring in those channels, those over-the-air broadcast channels. Moose River says like a repeater. I don't know what that is. Wes says, helpers are coming. I will pay them, and they will get the work done either tomorrow or Thursday. Too wet now. Don't pay them until the work's done, because sometimes you pay people to do work. If you pay ahead of time, they don't show up. Moose Maneuvers says, if I turn my antlers east-west, I pick up transmissions from India. Wow. Benny says, we weren't allowed to touch the television or sit on the furniture, but we were allowed to be the antenna when required. That's funny. But anyhow, yeah, those good old days. I don't mind having a big choice of channels to watch and stuff, but sometimes it does get overwhelming. Like sometimes it does seem too much. Some of these packages that you can get nowadays has like hundreds of channels. That's a bit much. It's a bit much, I do say. If I do say so myself. So anyhow, because I only watch YouTube exclusively. That's right. And you watch the Chuck John channel. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for watching. Benny and Wes and Moose, and we had KO. We had They Call Me Rose. Thanks, Jolie, for being my mod. I'm not really. I'm acting like I'm ending the show. I will be ending it in a little bit, but not quite yet. Helps with the live stream. Buy me a coffee. Thank you so much, Jolie. Because, coffee is good. I like coffee, so help help the show out, keep me in the coffee. Then I need to hydrate, so I get the Oyo water. On your own. You're on your own when you're at the Oyo. KO says, I'm here, I'm just distracted. Okay, fine, that's fine. And the moose has a heart, a rose and a white heart. Benny says, even if you don't see me, doesn't mean I'm not watching. I'm always watching. Benny's always watching, so watch out. Watch out, because she's always watching. She knows when you're good. She knows when you're bad. So you better be good, for goodness sakes. KO says, that means I count as a viewer. Yes, you do count, KO. You certainly do count. I didn't mean, I didn't mean to imply that you didn't count. You do count. I just wasn't sure if you were still here. That's all. I was thanking you for being here. Not insulted. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you're viewing. KO says, just need a day at the beach. Don't we all? Don't we all need a day at the beach every now and then? And I'm like, what am I, 400 miles from the beach? I don't know. So, and Lake Mead is drying up, so there's plenty of beach there, but it's nice to have a little water to go along with the beach. But there are plenty of swimming pools around here. So, Kale says, happy Tuesday, Benny Loco. And a happy Tuesday to you. Benny Loco says, the beach is so far away. Yeah, gonna have to find a lake or a river or a swimming pool, I guess. But the beach is special. I love the beach because it's usually cool and you get the breeze and the air smells so fresh. It might not be, but it sure smells fresh, you know. Kale says the beach may be far away, but the beach is always right here. It's right here in your heart. There's a beach in there. Right in there, I got a little beach. Wes says, exactly, Ken. Exactly. And Benny says, Bicycle Mike has a giant pool and a jacuzzi. I have an open invite. Well, take him up on that. And then KO is doing emojis. I don't know. It's like a palm tree and a surfer and a wave. Like those are things you do at a beach. Wes says Cancun for Christmas makes me feel warm all winter long. Ooh, that sounds nice, Cancun. Cancun for winter. That just gave me an idea. Cancun for Christmas. One of these days. It's a song I wrote a long time ago. Oh, and I was just now singing it. Did I do it? Did I do it right? Cancun for Christmas. That's the only words I know. Oops. Cancun for Christmas makes you feel warm all winter long. I'm not making fun of it. I just, because you know me, I'm just a jerk. KO says, news today. Oh, we've got news. Ding, 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 ding. Cocoa Beach, Florida mayor says they may have to move Kelly Slater's statue because tourists cause accidents trying to get a picture of it in traffic. Kelly Slater was or still alive, I believe, but a world-class surfer, by the way, for those who don't know. Kelly Slater, professional surfer. West says, and the sun of Cancun warms me till the first summer's day. I don't know. Cocoa Beach says Benny Loco. Oh, and she's got like a pukey thing. So I guess you don't like. I'm taking it you don't like Cocoa Beach. I don't know anything about the beaches in Florida. I've never been on any of the beaches in Florida. I'm just trying to think. I know I've been in Florida. I've only been like in Orlando and Kissimmee, not Kissimmee, Kissimmee, and Orlando areas. Some of the Panhandle when you drive through Interstate 10. I've never stopped at the beaches. Wes Webb likes South Padre Island. KO says Kelly Slater is 51 years old and still alive. Probably still surfing. Benny Loco says, I detest Florida. It tried to murder me. Okay, I would also hate probably anything that tried to murder me. Probably. I probably would too. So I don't blame you. You know, if that happened. Moose Maneuver says Florida tries to murder everyone. It's the Everglades. Yeah, you get down there, they got gators. Them gators will get you. Got to watch out for them gators. Benny Nicholas says FDLE is nothing but good old boy KKK banging trash. That's some harsh criticism there, Benny Loco. Wes says Florida tourist areas are crowded and expensive. Many tourist areas are. That's why they're tourist areas. I've never been to Miami Beach or anything like that. I've only been to Orlando to go to Disney World twice. Been there twice. And then as a truck driver, I was there to deliver to a Lowe's DC distribution center somewhere near Orlando, I think south of Disney World and all that stuff. And that's about it for me in Florida that I can think of. We did see on one of those trips, I guess it was my first trip, we did go over to Cape Canaveral, KO. That's up your alley. So we rented a car. I remember this is back in the first trip, 1990 or so, 89 or 90, I think it was. And I rented a Ford Thunderbird, which I really loved that car. That was a great car. And we did drive around a little bit. And we drove over from Orlando to Cape Canaveral and saw this Kennedy Space Center and all that stuff. And that was pretty cool. That was about the extent of our driving around just over there. Benny Nichols says, I worked for FDLE. I'm not sure what FDLE is. Florida Department of I don't know. I know what I know. Can't unknow it. They still hang Black Americans in Florida. Oh, man. That's pretty horrible. Wes says, Key Largo is nice. Key West is just like Miami Beach. Crowded and expensive. Benny Loco says law enforcement. Wes Webb says law enforcement. So did I get the first two right? The Florida Department right? So they call it Florida Department of Law Enforcement? Okay. KO says in 1990, you could still see some of Kennedy Space Center Visitor Center without having to buy a ticket. No more. It's like Disney World now. No ticket equals no parking. Yep, FDLE, State Police, says Wes Webb. Like the troopers, state troopers? FDLE. Huh. In California, we have California Highway Patrol. That would be our state. I guess that would be our state, or it's run by the state. Because we mainly have police departments and sheriff and county sheriff. Sheriffs are usually county. Police departments are usually city. CHP is state. They're like our state troopers. But I'm in Nevada now. I still talk like I'm still in California. Nevada has state troopers, and of course they have PDs for the cities, and they have county mounties too. Yeah. But FDLA covers all the offices of law enforcement. Wow. KO says Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the agency which oversees the law enforcement community and investigates when crimes are committed by law enforcement agencies. Wow. Or agents. Or deals with upper level crime. Okay. That's how they do things out there in Florida. So anyhow, I'm just sitting here contemplating my life, dreaming of Cancun and Christmas. I might go to Cancun and Christmas now. Now that Wes has put that in my head. I've never been to Cancun. I've never really been anywhere outside of the United States, except for Baja, California, which I really have no desire to ever go back there again. Westwood says, thanking the Lord for rain. Rain is good. We need rain. KO says, promote public safety, strengthen domestic security in partnership with local, state, federal criminal justice agencies to prevent, investigate, solve crimes while protecting Florida citizens and visitors. Benny Nicholas says, because my attacker was my cousin to my boss. Oh, it was the cousin, not my. But that was a whole different connotation. Because my attacker was the cousin to my boss, the sheriff, he was never charged for almost beating me to death. Oh my God. Oh my God. Fuck Florida. Yes. Fuck it hard. KO says, that's their mission statement reduced to 200 characters. All right. Thank you, Ken. Yeah, Benny, I don't blame you for having those thoughts about Florida. Yeah, fuck Florida. KO says, but they do have a tendency to protect police from prosecution, of course. Westwood says, thanks, Ken. That thin blue line, right? The thin blue line, yeah. They would rather, and I am speaking in general terms, I guess, but many times they would rather protect one another than they'd rather protect a bad cop than to seek justice for a bad cop, because I guess they see it as, a chip in the armor, or not being united. They need to have a united front or something. It's them against the world. They have this real mentality. Instead of just serving and protecting, it's just them against the world or something, And I am speaking in generalities. Benny Nicholas says their mission statement is keep the KK alive and kicking and dragging as much money as possible. KO says, when you realize the Trump-loving Sheriff Ivey, Brevard County, was a former FLDE officer, then you realize who is really working for the FLDE. There. Benny Nicholas, KO says, at Benny Local, I agree. Oh, man. Yeah, so much shit going on. So much shit going on in these places. Florida, Texas, Nevada. I don't know what's going on here. I I don't have any facts to back this up, but it would appear to me as though the Las Vegas Paving Company here in Las Vegas, something's going on there because I think they're the only company that gets any contracts. And whoever owns that company is probably a freaking billionaire by now because I think they do every road project, at least that isn't a part of the interstate system, and they probably still get that too. But as far as getting contracts for the cities and the surrounding areas, it's all Las Vegas Paving Company, and they've got this whole fucking town tore up, and they're just constantly, I think, just milking jobs, dragging out jobs, just who knows how much they're ripping the city off, you know. And so that's some corruption on that kind of level. Um, Bendigo, inside info sometimes sucks knowing. Kale says, sorry, I transposed the letters by mistake. FDLE. I need another dab fire in the hole. What says, we elect our sheriff, but they often have questionable characters. KO says, but Florida Lawless Dude Enterprise does fit FLDE. Florida Lawless Dude Enterprise. Benny Loco says, time eat, not only eat, but devour the rich. Time to not only eat, but devour the rich. That's probably evil of two lessers. You guys are funny. Don't boo. Vote. Boo. It all comes back to that, doesn't it? We need to vote. And me, I always vote blue. And it's not because the people will say, oh, you're just, what do they say? I'm just a sheep or something. I can't think for myself because all I do is vote for Democrats. To which I say, hogwash. That's what I say. I say hogwash. I think I am thinking for myself when I realize that there isn't a Republican, I'm talking about politicians that run for offices, there isn't one of them that I would piss on if they were on fire. There's not one of them that, I would trust as far as I could throw them. There's not one of them that deserves my vote that I've ever come across. Not one, not a single one. I'm not saying the Democratic Party is perfect. They're not. They fuck up. There's been some fuck ups in the party. They don't do everything perfect, but kind of proves my point that I'm not a sheep because I can acknowledge that there are fuck ups in the party. There are people that I don't like. But that's politics, and you just got to do better. Try to do better next time. Try to get better people in there in those offices. It takes time. It takes work. It takes effort. KO says parody YouTube. KO says just in case the FDLE is watching. KO laughing out loud. KO, sheep are useful. Maggots are not. Well, don't maggots play a role in when in cleaning off the flesh of dead bodies or something? I don't know. Yeah, you're right. They're not useful. But sheep, you can make a wool coat or wool. You can get wool, and and they're tasty. Note the spelling. Um, well, I know you're talking about MAGA. Uh, but you go, if you're watching FDLE, oh, if you're watching FDLE, yeah, this goes to you, FDLE. Double fucking bird, motherfuckers. That is from me and Benny Loco. Fuck you, FDLE. Oh, now I'm gonna be on their fucking list. KO says maggots or MAGA hats. The MAGA hats. Something's going on out there. There's a beeping noise. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Oh, I think it's a trash truck. Just calm down. It's just a trash truck. Benny Loco is smiling. So yeah, don't boo, vote boo. Don't boo, vote blue, boo. Something like that. Something like that. It'll be interesting to see how these elections coming up are going to be. I don't want to jinx anything or count my chickens before they're hatched, type of thing. But I think the Dems are going to do pretty well because the Republicans are just burying themselves deeper and deeper with all of this fucking just racist and bigoted bullshit, all this fucking homophobia and transphobia and all that kind of shit. And I'm not going to get into I'm not going to, get into a big thing about phobia like Hal does. Look, it's just a quick shorthand way of talking about bigots. We could say trans bigotry or homo bigotry, but it's hard. I can't even say it. It's like I trip over it. But we're just talking about bigots and assholes, right? And I think most of America is moving past that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I know we've had a really horrible history of slavery, and which is sort of the ultimate racism, and genocide, where we just wage a genocidal campaign against Native Americans. Those are our two huge black eyes that our country has come up with, and hopefully they're healing, and it's starting to get a little more purple, and it's starting to heal up, and hopefully we're getting less and less as the decades go by and the centuries go by. I know it can seem like such a slow process, but I think we're getting less and less racist and bigoted. And I think these new crop of voters and new crop of kids are coming up, and they're not going to stand for it. And I'm hoping, combined, I think the boomers and the zoomers, I think there's enough of us boomers still around that are, wearing the blue. And a lot of the zoomers, we might be what's going to maybe save the country. I don't know. Or at least get us back on the right track, or at least get some of these Republicans out of office, and hopefully flip some states, flip some, whatever level it is that we're talking about. Fingers crossed, right? Don't cross fingers, vote, boo. Benny Loco says, if Florida hadn't destroyed my life, I would have no troubles now. They owe me big time. Benny Loco says, I could live 1,000,000 years and never imagine how horrible humans would be at evolving. It's a slow process, man. It is. It's slow until it isn't. You know what I mean? It's like, it seems like it takes forever, and then something will happen and it sort of like jumps. Benny Logo says, I'll be wearing my Thank You Brandon t-shirt today. Awesome. You have a Thank You Brandon t-shirt? Wow, I want one. Where'd you get that? Did you make it yourself or what? See, I knew they were going to do this. I'll be right back. I got to go talk to them and tell them I extended. I told them at the desk to tell them. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, I extended for another game. So. Huh? And I'm back. Okay, so Midas Touch, housekeeping. Yeah, I told the front desk to tell housekeeping that I extended for another day, and so they wouldn't come knocking at my door. And of course, they came knocking at my door because they never do get the message. Oh well, no problemo. As I think I just said to the housekeeping person. Anyhow, where was I before I was so rudely interrupted? I noticed it seems like we got more viewers when I left. I should probably just go lay down on the bed and just see if we get more viewers that way, and just leave the thing pointed down here. Hey, Suzanne, for Siepi. I just woke up. Sorry I'm late. Good afternoon to everyone. Man, the life of Riley over there with Suzanne, huh? Just waking up. Must be nice. I'm just kidding. It says, Bennett says, did you ask her for green? No, of course not. It's not my place. I said, hola. And then I just said I extend for the night. And she said, okay, she says, okay, thank you. Benico says, Suzanne, hola. Hey, hola. We're all saying hola. And Jolie says hi to Suzanne. Thanks, Suzanne, for dropping by. I appreciate it. I really do. We just been yapping. We just been yapping about stuff. You know how we do here on the Trucker John Show. We just yap. I'm a yapper. That's right. It's where the yap. You come here to yap. Suzanne says, I have a lot of stress. Everyone's still planning to move back home. What? I have a lot of stress. Everyone's still planning to move back home? Oh, wow. That is, I can see how that could be stressful. Benny Logan says, my roses are blooming. Oh, yeah, I love all your gardening. I love your lights. I've been watching your videos, and you put the lights up, and it's so pretty. Awesome. It's fun, isn't it? That's fun. And that's a great, I think, kind of stress reliever, right? When you work in your garden and you decorate it and put your lights up. And then at night you can go out there and sit and see it, and it's all pretty, and you can, I guess, dab. I would probably just crack open a cold one and prop my feet up, and look at the garden and look at the lights. Benny Loco says, my happy place is land shaping. Okay. I was going to say, if it's land shaping, that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different issue right there. Joy says, your garden lights are amazing. Yeah, they're really cool. Suzanne says, my parents are getting worse, and I live with a horrible person. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Suzanne. That is pretty horrible to go through that. I wish you could get out of that situation somehow. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but man, if there's some way, find some way to get out of that. Benny Logo says, scaping and shaping. I want to do a pond too. Oh, that'd be nice. You're going to put like koi in it? Like a koi pond? That'd be cool. or some kind of fish. It isn't. It's usually koi. Koi, I think, right? I mean, you can't put trout in there. They would just die. But the koi, they like to be in little ponds, I guess. But this says, thank you, Jolie. For the garden line comment. Yeah, a pond would be cool. Make sure you get good flow, though. A good return pump type of thing. So you get movement and everything. There's upkeep on those things. Whoops. Every time I lean on this table, the whole thing goes. But it'll be for whatever inhabits it. If you build it, they will come. So, I wonder what I don't think you get fish. I mean, but you would get, I guess, maybe frogs. You would probably get birds that they like to drink the water. Maybe a coyote would come and sip the water, and then eat the frogs. I don't know. Because I've been installing ponds for 30 years. Okay, you don't need me to tell you. All right, I got you. I got what you're saying. It's like, shut the fuck up, Trucker John. You got this. You got it. Yeah, that'd be nice though. Yeah, little pond, and your flowers and your vegetation and your lights. It'd be awesome. That would be awesome, I would say. Yeah. But they team with life. All you add is water. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that when you get it in. I'm sure you're going to shoot some video. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be nice. Things of this nature. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Do you know what I mean, a Jelly Bean? Do you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Do you know what I mean, Jelly Bean? But I will probably do it live streaming. Oh yeah, take us on a little walk through your garden and everything. Yeah, that'd be cool. Totally. That'd be totally cool. I'd like to see that. I'll be there with bells on. Whatever that means. But yeah. I'll be there with bells on. Probably not going to literally have bells. It's some sort of expression, and I'm not even sure what it means. Does anyone know what that means? Is that the expression? I'll be there with bells on? Chaos says, is it just me? Or did the stream stop again? Well, I hope it's just you. I mean, as far as I can see, it's going. And again, did it stop previously? Well, I hope it's just you, Ken. Jolie says it's fine where she's at. And from what I can see, it's fine. Benny Logo says, I watch this channel called the Petricks. They're restoring a monastery. Very cool stuff. KO says crap. So it must be something going on over there in Florida. KO. KO says, must be this internet. Thanks. So we were able to narrow that down and determine that there's something going on with KO's internet. It happens. It happens, You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Oh, there I go again with you know what I mean, I'm just going in circles. Suzanne says, Vera, vote every Republican out. Be a hero. Vote blue wave like our lives depend on it, because it does. Please, is it, I guess, pray or something? This is what I posted on BTC, and I got 1,000 thumbs. What's BTC? Blue Top Country? I don't know. Benny Logo says, good old boy internet. Benny Logo, right on, Suzanne. BTC is a badass. Who's BTC? Is that AOC's brother? Jolie says, I'll definitely have to check that channel out, Benny. Love that kind of stuff. Oh, Brian Taylor, okay. You mod for BTC? Now I'm saying BTC. No, I've watched that guy, but I wasn't familiar with the abbreviation. Yeah, I like BTC. I never have watched. I don't think I've ever watched his channel. I just always saw his clips. I go way back on Facebook. I used to always watch his clips. This is like years ago. Susanna says, I'm very proud. Benny Logan says, yep, long time. Wow. Yeah, I like Brian. I think he's good. He's very astute. You know, and he exposes things that need to be exposed, and he exposes a lot of like the double standards and hypocrisies that are going on, and yeah, I like him. He's good. He's a good kid. But I haven't watched his channel. Like I said, I used to always just watch clips. It seems like he was always on Facebook, and I used to always just watch him on there, just like the clips he would post. So I'm gonna have to check out his channel now, I guess. Bennett says, I'm everywhere, John. Like cow shit. No, you're more like Santa Claus, who watches us all the time, and you know when we're bad and you know when we're good. Benny Logo says, he interviewed Joe Biden, pretty cool gig for a tuber. Oh, I may have seen some of that, or maybe they made clips of that. I think I might have seen some clips of that or something, as I recall. Well, you know, it worked for Mark Maron. Maron was already, I think at that time, the #1 podcaster in the world. And then he did, I think that's why Obama chose him to do his interview. And then that sort of just brought Maron into this sort of, you know, iconic kind of status. And now BTC did Biden. So it's a good move. It's a good move. What did I just do? Suzanne says, no Facebook or Twitter for me, please. Okay. No one's going to make you go on there on Facebook or Twitter. You don't have to go on there. That's the beautiful thing about this whole thing we call social media. You don't have to go. Benny Logo says, me either, Suzanne, just YouTube. That's fine. And that's dandy. You don't have to go anywhere you don't want to go. Unless you're under arrest. But other than that, you don't have to go anywhere you don't want to go. You know. Unless you're under a court order or under arrest. But other than that, you don't have to go anywhere that you don't want to go. You know, unless there's some law that says you have to go somewhere. or if you're under a court order, or if you're under arrest. But other than that, you don't have to go anywhere that you want to go. Anyhow. Susan says, dark rabbit hole. Benny says, choices have circumstances for those around you. All choices have circumstances. All choices have circumstances. That is true. That's a true statement. Bless my little soul. God bless my little soul. I have a little tiny soul somewhere in here. And I just ask God to bless it. Won't you bless my soul? Anyhow, okay, we're I'm going over. It's been over 2 hours. My, how the time has flied. Thank you, Jolie. Thank everyone for being here. I guess I'm going to go ahead and we'll call it a day. Let's see, what time is it? It is 11:30. I'm probably going to do a spa day, mud bath, one of those hot rock massage things. You know, the works. No, I'm just kidding. I'll probably be Ubering today, later on. Do some Ubering, driving around town, all that good stuff. I'll be back Thursday. Try to make it 9 a.m. But, 9:30 a.m.-ish. And we'll follow up on the conversation. We'll keep it going. Let's keep the conversation going. And remember, don't boo. Vote. Boo. Bye.